Hi there, welcome to WorldTalk. I am Lisa Wickham, and it's so much my pleasure to be with you once again as I share with you inspiring stories from around the world. And remember, if you missed any of our WorldTalk episodes, you can log on to YouTube and subscribe to my channel, Lisa Wickham, where you can catch up on so many of the episodes that we've had so far, and you'll be able to be as inspired as I am to meet so many wonderful people around the world. And exactly what I do is share them with you. Of course, you can go on our timeline and put your questions in there for the guest this afternoon. I'll share who that is in a little bit. But remember, if you like what you see and you want us to continue what we do, remember you can log on to www.fundmetnt.com and just contribute in whatever measure that you can to the number of creatives who have come together since COVID-19 to make this possible. And I'm speaking about companies like Heaven Sent Productions, InnoMedia, Genesis Media Productions Limited, Imagine Media, and Leroy Smart. We call him Lex. I want to say special thanks to Digisal, of course, powering us up every episode, and to the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. Right, so let me tell you who my guest is today. I met her in South Africa. She's so energetic, full of energy, full of life. She grew up in a township during apartheid in South Africa, and now she has her own wellness and fitness company, and she motivates and inspires young people, particularly young girls and women across in South Africa. So let's say hi to Faith Modise. Hi, Faith. Good morning.
Hey, Lisa.
Good morning, Sisi, Stoto, Unjani.
Hey, Lisa.
How are you doing? I know it's like 2 o'clock in the
good.
morning where you are. Yeah.
I know. I had to just be up, for this. So yes.
I am so happy, and I know you have the entire of Pretoria, Johannesburg, and wherever else in South Africa watching on now. So good morning to you guys looking at us across in South Africa, and of course to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I know we have people looking at us from Guyana and Suriname and all over the world. So it's so wonderful that you are joining us here on WorldTalk. So Faith, how have you been, and what has COVID-19 been doing with you?
Oh, Lisa, I've been good. We are on level 4. No, I'm lying. Level 3 lockdown.
Yeah.
So literally everything is still shut. We can't go out of the borders. We going out to go get essentials. Part of the economy is also open, but not everything. So I'm still stuck at home.
Yeah.
But lucky for me, I can still teach online, so I'm good.
You're good because I know you have a lot of energy. And
Oh,
you're
yeah.
involved in so many things. I saw you actually
yes.
participating in a soca, and that's the music from Trinidad and Tobago, a soca party online, all the way in South Africa. I had no idea this was happening, but you were partying in your home, in your living room, to soca music in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, Lisa. I mean, who introduced me to that? Wasn't it you, by the way, that introduced me to that music? I have connected with DJ, I think it's Gel in the Mix on Instagram.
Yes.
So every single time when he's doing like a live anything, I'm there.
You're there. I think you have more Trinidad and Tobago blood in you than anybody that I know, right? So let's talk a bit about you, Faith, because you grew up in a township. Explain what life was like in a township in South Africa under apartheid.
Okay, so back in the day, I'm not sure if the viewers would know about the fact that we had things that we called homelands. So literally, there was South Africa and there were homelands. So homelands was basically where all the black people were segregated from being in South Africa into the the homeland. Mm-hmm. So what had happened with us was we were back then we had I was living under a place called Ukutaswana. Yeah. It's now currently Northwest. So we had our own president there. There were borders between where I was from into, the town. So if my mother would want to come obviously into town, she has to get, to have a passport. We have to get passports. But we're in the same country, literally. Yeah. But, she had to get a passport to pass through to go into town, to get whatever that we needed. Yeah. Which was a bit, awkward. But
so there was segregation.
There was
really,
life back there.
Right. So it was whites only, totally. Blacks only. Yeah. So the whole Black Lives Matter situation that is happening in the US, for example, that could resonate with you really well because you
Lisa,
lived through something even more
yes,
stark
that
than what we are seeing in the US. Would you say? How did it impact you?
totally. So what I will say, or what I can actually let me just try and school the people. So in '94, the our government became right now what it is right now, like the black government. But
Yeah.
I remember when I went to university, the universities were still very literally like a whole lot of white people. So it was like 24% black people in the university, while the rest was white people.
Yeah.
So, I figured out, I think like during that whole period that, we are really separate because we don't, it's not that we segregated because we don't, I wouldn't know if back then because people didn't really like black or, black didn't like white. But I remember that, at some point, I was part of, the people that would like really, be in the forefront about, this whole, division and whatnot, because I went to a residence where, the house committee was white people, and then there was no black person there. So when they realize that you like the one that talks a lot or that, you start up stuff, they will take you and they'll put you in a thing where, they'll be able to shut you down. So I
Really?
remember they picked me up, they put me in, yes. They picked me, they put me in a, like a, in between, like an intermediary committee where I couldn't now stand for my people. I had to like literally, be like be able to vouch for white and for black.
Yeah.
So but I figured, I think, Lisa, during that period, that when you look at the white people back then, they were not taught nothing about us. We were supposed to actually bow to them. And when we were there, I figured out that it's not that the kids that were there didn't want to know us. It's because they were actually taught to be that way. So it was tough. It was tough. I remember
So you're
also like
saying
learning
that
stuff
because all over the world, even in Trinidad and Tobago, we're grappling with the issue of racism and all the various isms, colorism, and so on.
Yes.
And you're saying that the racism that you experienced during apartheid was taught from birth, from young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. Because I think I also picked up that, okay, so back in the day when I was small, I remember if we were to go into town, I was very scared of white people, very scared. I remember I would see a white person and I would just like hide behind my mother's skirt, on some, I'm fearful of this person. So by the time that I went to university and I meet these young kids that are obviously my age, that are white, that don't know nothing about me and I don't know nothing about them. So that whole, the challenge there was the fact that they also couldn't speak English. I was coming from a, all-round vernacular school into a school where, into a varsity where everybody has to speak English. They also couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak English. So there was just like this culture differences where...
So there was also a communication issue. But there are about 11 languages in South Africa, yeah?
Yes.
Including Afrikaans, yes. Right?
Including Afrikaans.
Right.
But so Afrikaans back then was the majority.
Right. Yeah. But let's dial it back a bit. How did you get from a township, which, from what I have learned, most of the persons were deprived of a complete education. The education was limited to what was called Bantu education. Right? Limited, no math, no science, that kind of thing. Basic, very basic. And you're segregated, you're living in conditions of extreme poverty. And how were you able to go from that to university, and a university that was perhaps on the other side?
Purely Afrikaans. So I went to varsity in '97. Nelson Mandela was released in '92. In '94, he became president. So when I started going to varsity, it was like it's like 3 years into, the democracy.
Right.
So it was still like really, we were still really living under, white supremacy, even if, I think the system was trying to, to, how do you say it in English? The system was still very white.
It was young.
But, there was like, it was young. And there was, people, they were trying to dismantle many things from all, Yes, to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
So it was really that, Lisa. I think I was probably maybe the generation that got lucky.
Yeah.
But I
But you
can
were
tell you
bright.
also university was
You were
like,
also bright.
I think I was smart, but mostly I think it's because when I had to go, apartheid just actually was, it was abolished. So
Yes.
I was probably one of the first generation of Black that
Yeah.
went in to try and pave the way for the people that are coming behind me.
Yes.
Because I remember even when I was at varsity, there was still just this, the injustices and the prejudices and the, not understanding each other,
Yeah.
from both black and white.
Yeah.
So
Were you
yeah,
scared? You must have been scared because you would have been.
I
You remember
wasn't,
you were that
no,
little girl who was hiding behind
yes,
her mom's skirt, and now you're all alone in university, and it's a sea of white, you know. And
yes.
how did
I'll
you
tell
manage
you,
at university?
I'll tell you what my mother told me when I actually on my first year. She said to me, "You cannot be scared of people that only understand the last words to their places finishes with a berg or a fontaine." Okay, so if you come up, okay, people in the Caribbean, if you come to South Africa, you'll find out that like places that were back in the day named by white people, it's either Bloemfontein, it's Rietfontein, it's Driefontein, or it's, Johannesburg, it's all of
Yes.
that. So my mother was saying to me, look, why would you be scared of people that don't even know how to name places? So
Yes.
you're gonna go there and you're gonna do great because all that they know is the fontaine and then the berg. It
Yeah.
was like a little joke to say to me, come and go girl and go do your thing.
Yeah,
So
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And you're not
don't be
afraid. You're so
afraid.
fearless. You're like super
No,
fearless.
I'm
So
not afraid.
your mother
Oh,
was a
but of
great
course.
influence on your life. Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Faith, this cannot happen, this conversation could not happen at a more appropriate time because we've just come out, when I say we, Trinidad and Tobago, we've just come out of our general elections here on Monday, 2 days ago. And, we are grappling with the issue of race and racism. But it's not
Yes.
between whites and blacks as you've experienced it, but between persons of African
Yes.
descent and persons of East Indian descent.
Yes.
Yeah. And what would
Yes.
you say? What would you say to, you've lived it. You've been a little girl in a country that was known for extreme racism. And, you've survived, you have your business. We're going to talk about that. You now mentor young girls and women. What would you say to persons in Trinidad and Tobago who are experiencing some level of racism? How would you explain what you went through and what message you would give to them to help to understand how to navigate that space?
Lisa, I think we lack communication. And I think obviously on top of that, we also lack the fact that me sitting with a person that is not my color or that's not from the same background as me and wanting to learn about that person. I figured, I feel like where I've been, I've always been placed among just white people because I needed to learn something there, and it's a shame because I would be the one black person and then the rest would be white people. I was in a team of cheerleaders where the rest of the girls, they were white, and I was like probably the only black person that was there.
Yeah.
But if you try and understand, and I think it comes more from being black. We black people are very communal. We inclusive. We want to know and we want to do this. I feel like the other parties really are not maybe ready. So we need to teach them. I think people that are like totally patient. We need to teach them about who we are, about who we are about. And we have to learn to be patient because really, Lisa, when I'm saying to you, there are people that are like totally clueless about what black is and what black is about.
Yeah.
They are everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So the
everywhere, and it's not just
communication-
white and black. It seems to be everybody and black, right? Everybody else.
True.
Yeah. But I like what you said about
That's
being
true.
patient and
Yeah.
being able to educate. It's really about communication, isn't it? It's really about
True.
communication.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Faith, you mentioned about being a cheerleader. That was for the Bluebirds, is it? Yeah.
Yes.
The rugby
the Blue
team.
Bulls, yeah.
Yeah.
therapeutic.
We're going to talk about that. You were also part of Big Brother Africa, right?
Yes, yes, yes. As
And
a
so much
fitness
more.
trainer.
Yeah, so we're going to take
Yes,
in a few
yes. As
messages,
a
come
fitness.
right back, and we're going to have a chat
Okay.
about some of the exciting things that you've been through and the work that you're
All right.
doing and the projects that you're on right now. So do stay with us. Welcome back to World Talk, and my guest today is Faith Modise from South Africa, live from South Africa, and we've been chatting about the issue of racism that's happening like all over the world, with Black Lives Matter, and out of, in the Caribbean, we experienced that as well, and of course in South Africa, growing up in apartheid. But you survived. You didn't just survive, you also thrived. And you went on to do so many great things. You thrived. And tell us about Big Brother. What did you have to do with Big Brother? And was it Big Brother South Africa or Big Brother Africa?
It was, okay, so in I think that was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
I was asked by, part of the production house for Big Brother to come and train the housemates. Because all my life, I've always been a trainer. So I wasn't part of the show itself, like being in the house throughout the day. Yeah. I was just part of, I came in, I trained them in the morning. You have to wake them up because, you know how they are, very lazy. They don't want to do nothing. You have to like take pull out the blanket and say, get up. So, that was like.
So you're a taskmaster. You had to keep them fit.
That was my job. Yeah, you had to keep them fit because, you see now, Lisa, we're sitting in lockdown, right? People cannot stay at home.
Yeah.
Remember those young kids? They are in their house for like 3 months, without any complaint, and they're just reveling and doing what they need to do. But
we're seeing shots. We're not seeing the Big Brother shots, but these are shots of you. We'll get to the Big Brother shots, right? But these are you working with children. You have a special place in your heart for children. What do you do with the children in South Africa?
Yes. Okay. So a few years ago, I was also contracted by Nestle. I think Nestle is a worldwide sort of company.
Yes.
So to train or to teach kids about healthy eating, as well as do fun fit movements, because if you come to schools, and I'm thinking it's across the world, where not all the kids are into mainstream sports. So literally what happens is you'll find out that there's a percentage of kids that will play rugby or soccer or, cricket or whatever, and then the rest of them are just not moving. So I put down these programs where, I was able to go into the schools and teach the kids how to dance,
Is
and
that
do
Big Brother?
yoga for kids. That's the Big Brother.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that's the Big Brother shot. So I would go in and I would just, teach the kids about, just living healthy, and just also impart in them, because I feel like teachers are doing a great job. But how kids are very curious, Lisa. Kids are very, and if they find like the right teachers or they find the right people to motivate, they can reach for the stars. I always say, adults are just like big babies, who somebody just shattered their dreams, and I don't want that to happen to kids. So when I come in, in a space with these kids, I'm like another child, and I just, when I talk to them about,
so
what
you are motivating, you're motivating the children, the young girls, the women, but who motivated you? We spoke about your mom, but besides your mom, who motivated you? Who were some of the people that inspired you? Or how did you inspire yourself?
I feel like my life has always been thrown into the deep end where I had to literally figure out what do I do next? You know, what's the next step for me? So, you know, I'll say I also have quite a lot of, you know, females that are around me that are like my mentors, you included as well, like later on in my life right now. Yeah, but it's literally me being put in many situations where I had to really find myself, and you know, I could see, I could sort of pick up where, especially with kids, you know, that I wasn't taught, you know, that I can be whatever that I want to be. I had to like literally come from the trenches to be, you know, who I am. So I feel like it's necessary, you know, for kids to be able to know, if a child says to you that I want to be a superhero, Lisa, you're going to say to the child, yes, you're going to be a superhero. If a kid says to you, I want to be like Nelson Mandela, you have to say to them, yes, because a lot of times, if the mothers don't believe in the kids or the teachers or whoever that they, you know, they make contact with, you know, you know, you'd find out kids are, you know, they don't like, you know, they would end up not going to school, or they'll end up not, you know, actually enjoying their lives, or becoming, you know, criminals and things like that. So, you know, I figure that I've been put in many situations where I totally had to fend for myself, you know. So if I could share knowledge and I could share information to younger people, I'm right there.
Yeah, and that's so inspiring, and you actually do that. So how do you manage the balance? Because you have your own company, Body Fab, and you work in gyms, and you do Soca Fit, and you work with youths, and you're winning awards. So you've won the Houghton, or you were a finalist, I think, for the Houghton Women's Leaders Award, and you're doing TV shows. And how do you do it all? How do you balance your day? There's you with the award. We were all so proud of you when you got that award. So how do you manage it all?
It's just time keeping, Lisa. And I feel like, you know, a lot of times when you own a business, you should be able to have a schedule that you work on. You can't take, you know, on more when you can't, or you're not able to actually, you know, do what you have to do. So, I mean, right now with my company, I've employed like a few people to just do, you know, stuff that I used to do by myself. And, you know, it just makes it easier where, you know, I don't have to physically be there. Somebody can be there for me, you know, and, you know, I charge on to like the next big thing, which would be, you know, let me go and, you know, do a little motivation talk at a school, or, you know, we gather like women, we sit and we talk about, you know, moving forward. We talk about things like you know, South Africa has a lot of gender-based violence. So there's a lot of conversations that are going around that you know, I'm trying to involve myself in, like this, like the latest thing that I'm doing right now. So it's just time, you know, and being able to, you know, to, how do I navigate? You know, I know how to delegate, Lisa. I'm a business girl.
Delegation is key. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take some more messages right now, but you mentioned something about gender-based violence. I know that's very close to your heart. I wanted to come back and talk a bit about that, because who knows, there might be someone out there listening, sitting, and it speaks to them, and your words could help them move past a certain stage in their experience. So let's take in a few messages, come right back. I'm chatting with Faith Modise. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, or almost 3 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. But we are up, we are live, and we are inspired. Stay with us.
Yes.
We're back. This is WorldTalk. I'm chatting with Faith Modise, who is live from South Africa. We're speaking about so many things because, she's a woman of multiple intelligences, particularly focused in the area of fitness and wellness. However, a motivator, ambassador for youth and for female empowerment, and a survivor. We know of Trevor Noah. I think the whole world knows of Trevor Noah. I mean, he's spoken about what it's like to be growing up in a township and so on. And you've just shared a bit of that. And some of the viewers, they're saying, wow, it's such an inspiring story and so on. Richard Bruce Murrell says, every time I listen to your story, Faith, it takes me back to George Floyd's story in the United States. And Nicole says, wow, it's inspiring. And Richard wants to know, how did you cope? How did you cope with racism as a student at school? And do you still feel humiliated by people who are deeply into racism? And as an entrepreneur, do you have to struggle to succeed during an era of racism? I think racism is a topic that's on everyone's mind. So let's deal with that and then talk about the gender-based violence.
Okay. So Richard, let me just mention, as you can see, I'm such a loud mouth, right? Like I can talk and I can, sit on people's faces and tell them where to get off. Mm-hmm. So, when I first came to varsity, I couldn't even, I couldn't speak English. So I could speak English, but you speak English that's like very, I don't know, we call it like street English, Yes. Once you get your degrees, by the way, I've got 2 degrees from one of the most, prestigious
you have 2 degrees?
From
I had no idea, Faith.
Yes, I have 2 degrees. I've got a degree in publishing and I've got a degree in languages. Okay. So Richard, I'll say to you, the minute that you are able to call an injustice and you're able to even speak it out, that is the time that people will actually reckon and they will actually back off. I'm this one person that would walk into a shop, and if there's one time I walked into a shop, I went to go buy stuff, and there was a lady that was speaking so disrespectful to the teller or the lady that was by the till. But it was like we were on the line, and it was like everybody was there, and she was just screaming at this girl and saying, "I need you to exchange these things." And I just said to a lady, "You don't speak to people like that. You need to take her into the back room, go talk to her there. We don't want to hear what this nonsense is about. If you want to sort it out, we in a line waiting to pay." So I figured if you're able to, we're not like in America. I would say to you here, we're able to stand up and talk. Economically, we're still not balanced. But in terms of freedom, in terms of standing up for ourselves, it's on here. People don't just come to you and do what they want to do. So how do I do that? I talk. When I see injustice, it doesn't matter. I could be in a cow train, I could be driving in my car, and somebody just cuts me off and they're being racist or they do like racial slurs. I will stand up and I'll talk.
And I think you would stand up for it. But aren't you? There's no fear. You have no fear, really.
There's no fear. No. Right now, there's no fear because of how our country is. We have got enough freedom. So economically, we're not yet there. Mm-hmm. But freedom to stay where I want, to take my kids where I want, to drive where I want, to go to shops where I want, to do whatever that I want, to go and swim in a pool where I stay, there is no problems, with us. The problem I think that we have as a country in South Africa is just financially, Black people are still coming up, and when they say money is literally everything, money is like, your freedom. But in terms of our rights and our being able to, to stand up for injustice, we totally do that. We totally do that. We're not scared, and I think also as a business person, for me, my experience as a trainer or as a person that's been in this industry for so long, I walk my walk and I talk my talk, and remember now when it comes to business, it's not even about racism anymore. When it comes to business, it's more like, feminine versus masculine. You will be wanting to get a contract, where there are men, who would say to you, so, we'll really give it to you, but, can you give us something? Or we will really give it to you, but can I take you out?
Yeah.
So
Sexual
it's just another
harassment.
battle. Yes, it's another battle that is not about racism. That's just about, the fact that you find men in these big positions where when you are coming in, and I mean, your company is compliant, everything that you're doing is compliant, but people would want to get something out of you,
What do you do in a case like that? What do you do in a case like that?
I report a person. I'll report people. I do not believe that any person is holding on to my wealth. I don't believe that. So I believe that if I'm not supposed to get something, I won't get it. Right. And if it's actually coming also from that kind of space where somebody would try to, want to sleep with you, or they want to try and do stuff with you, for me, I'm just like, I don't want it. This is not who I am. And I'll report.
Yeah. Very powerful stuff there, Faith Modise. So you hinted towards sexual harassment, but your passion really is speaking to women who are victims of gender-based violence. What's your message?
Yes. Lisa, that thing, that whole topic is very close to my heart, because I see here a lot of young girls, go into relationships because they are impoverished, or their family does not have money, or a lot of young girls that would use men for money.
Yeah.
So is it okay for a man who is in a relationship with a woman like that to abuse them? Totally no. How is it that we can curb that? People need to realize that life has steps. You are coming from a place where there's no money. Social media is such, in a way, Lisa, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, social media, I feel like it's such a, just the harsh word, it's Satan, it's the devil.
Yeah.
Because what social media does is young kids go on social media. Young kids are looking at you, with your Louis Vuitton bags, with your Nikes, with your brand new car, with a sugar daddy that has bought you that. And they see that and they feel like they can also have that. We can use it for good, but I think a lot of times when you find young people that are really, especially the millennials, men, I feel like they just race different. They are in a different era where they need to really be taught what life is. Life is you grow up, you go to school, you find a job, and you find your own place, you drive your own car. But it's so hard because of the, the dynamics of how our country is, where you find the poorest of the poor and you find the richest of the rich.
And not just in your country, it's all over, really. That whole issue, because the media is so powerful and it's very ubiquitous right now, and the images are the same across the world, really, whether we call it cultural imperialism or not. And, the aspirations as to what is beauty, I speak about that all the time, and what is power, and what is wealth, and what is important, and what is success, and all of those images that influence, as you say, the younger persons, or persons who perhaps have esteem issues, right? And decide that they want to get into a relationship so that they can have these things, regardless of whether it's an abusive relationship or not, right? How do you help persons to get out of that situation?
I feel like people must just, stick in their lanes, Lisa, man. There's nothing that, you are missing. There's nothing that you are missing. There's nothing that I'm missing. Most of us might not come on the other side maybe as successful as the rest of us. Comparison is such a, a killer of so many young people's dreams. I feel like if you're not solid in who you are, and I mean, it's more like it's like the parents' responsibility, the teacher's responsibility, a person that's like in the community that kids look at. It's your responsibility to teach these kids that it's okay to go from step 1 into step 2, not from step 1 until step 10. But also, Lisa, the men that are doing this to these young girls, they have no right. You have no right to try and treat somebody who is that age as if they are your property. No right at all. normal you're getting from them, whatever that you're getting from them, you have no right to try and treat somebody who belongs to a family, who's got a mother, who's got a family. You do not have a right to treat them like that just because you are the one that's now, with abundance. You've got money, you've got this, you've got that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we can't just talk to the girls and tell them to get out of the relationship. There are so many men that are out there that are selfish, that are disrespectful, that are chauvinistic. They feel like females are nothing. I feel like we need to educate the men as much as we're educating these young girls, because there's really just this overlap where society has become, it's clashing. Things are not like back then. We follow steps of what we need to do.
It's a lot of work to be done.
So,
yeah, a lot of work to be done. You know what? We're almost out of time, Faith. We
yes,
could continue talking for a while. I know.
So
What's next? What? What did you just say? Did you tell me?
I'm asking you.
I want you to say, because you said something. In what language were you speaking in, Faith? Because how many languages do you speak? Your degree is in languages. Do you speak all 11 languages?
No, I don't. I actually only speak 4. So I can speak a bit of Zulu. I'm Tswana. I'm Tswana. I can speak Zulu. I can speak Afrikaans. And I can speak English.
Okay, so say something in Zulu and Tswana for me. I know Unjani. That's all I know. Unjani.
Unjani means how are you? So if you want me to say, so I'm going to say something in Tswana. Lisa, ke lebogela gore ibe ke na le wena mo programming e kajeno.
That sounds so pretty. What does it mean?
It means, Lisa, I appreciate you for actually putting me on the program today.
Oh, bless you. And say something, and I think you say thank you as, I knew it. How do you say thank you again?
Nyabonga. In Zulu.
Nyabonga.
Nyabonga.
Right.
Yes.
And something in Zulu now for us.
That is Zulu. Nyabonga is Zulu.
Okay, so there you go. Nyabonga. Well, Nyabonga, Faith Modise, for spending the past few minutes with us and inspiring us.
Yes.
What are your final words of inspiration to the viewers out there who've been watching you for the past half hour?
Viewers that has been watching me for the past half hour, I want you to know that it's good for people to travel, because sitting in your own country and not knowing much about what other countries are about.
But they can't travel
really
right now, though. What are you saying?
No, I don't mean now. I'm saying to the people that are watching this show, this is WorldTalk. I do not want people to say to me, do I have chairs in my house, or do I have a car, or can I drive?
Yes.
Or is there lions that are walking around by my house? No people.
Or do you have internet or Wi-Fi? Or do you live in trees? I know where you're going with this.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is we need to travel. If we don't travel, we need to read a book about places and countries and people that we probably might want to meet one day. It's good for us, to know. I know so much about Trinidad and I haven't been there because I'm so interested in the culture and the music and the carnival, and this and that. So by the time that I come there, Lisa, I'll be able to mingle so quick. I won't have a problem. Lisa.
Yeah. It's so important, communication, education, to break down barriers, break down cultural
and there's no
barriers.
lions roaming around. There's no lions roaming around. We live in the suburbia. We have like the most beautiful houses here.
Yes, you do. You actually do. And South Africa is such a beautiful place, Africa, the continent, especially. Yeah. All the various countries. Faith, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I can't wait to see you when the borders open back up. Yeah, that we can actually not do a virtual hug, but do a real hug, proper hug, right? Sending you lots of love.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Faith Modise.
Hi, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you
Faith.
so much.
Owner of Body Fab Fitness and Wellness, and ambassador for youth and for female empowerment, award-winning personality, sponsored by Reebok and formerly Puma, and just doing so much work there in Pretoria and Johannesburg especially, and in South Africa, especially with young children. Well, if you like what you just saw, remember you can log on to www.fundmetnt.com to support this initiative of WorldTalk. Just one word can inspire a life. And we've been getting so many messages from people who are saying, wow, this episode spoke to me, or it impacted me in a special way. And we want to continue doing this work for you, the team that comes together to bring WorldTalk and to make WorldTalk possible. If you've missed an episode, so we've had some amazing guests on the show so far, you can log on to YouTube and subscribe to Lisa Wickham, my YouTube channel, and you can follow, and there it is right there. You can just, check out some of the episodes that you might have missed, or perhaps rewatch this one. All right, guys, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much to Digicel and to the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. And thank you for staying with us and for watching WorldTalk. Until next time, take care.